All right, hey class. So for this assignment, I chose the film Finding Vivian Meyer. And funny enough, at work we had a discussion about photography and some other things. And a coworker of mine brought up that he's into street photography and his biggest inspiration is actually Vivian Meyer. And I was like, oh, that's actually a super small world because we just started learning about her. This was a couple weeks ago. So he kind of gave me his background of his idea of how her story came about. And then I was like, well, I should go ahead and watch this film to learn a little bit more. So went ahead and watched that, and it's just a quick overview of how her life came about, or not her life, but her work. So the film follows John Maloof. He's the one that actually discovered all her images. So he bought a bunch of negatives at an auction, started looking through them, and realized that they're actually really awesome, really awesome photos. So actually, if it wasn't for him, it's possible that her work never may have seen the light of day. So part of it is a journey to figure out who Vivian Meyer was, and the film interviews various people throughout the timeline who have seen her images and kind of her backstory of how she was a nanny and she just did photography on the side and didn't really, she was pretty secretive about it, didn't want everyone to know about it. I won't spoil the whole thing, but her private life was really kind of uncovered through her images, whereas there wasn't anything that was known about her. So it's cool because it connected a lot of themes that we've covered in class. Obviously the photographing people aspect of it, and then understanding communities because she was well within her community, taking pictures of street photography of kids walking around, all like candid photos. Nothing was staged. It was all like honest, pure emotion, documentary style photography. And this whole film kind of highlighted that, someone could be part of a community indirectly without being part of it, altering it, changing it, and doing stuff like that. So that was pretty interesting to me. It kind of makes you think about some like the ethics of it because there was a lot of private photos of people that didn't know that their photos were being taken, people in vulnerable situations. We talked about the homeless, aspect in the previous weeks. So there's some questionable things there, but overall, I think all of her images were pretty tasteful from what I've seen. As far as the film itself, from a um, filmmaking standpoint, the documentary, it was very well done, kept my attention. I'm not a huge documentary person. I don't like a lot of history. I don't like old stuff for the most part, but this was pretty captivating and kept my attention. It didn't try to paint her as like the perfect person. It showed her as, an artistic genius, but also showed some of the complicated parts of her personality. There were some slow parts in this segment that had there was a lot of interviews, which I guess, a posthumous type documentary is kind of hard to do without that. But overall, the storytelling felt very respectful and thoughtful, and it really made me appreciate her work on a deeper level. So I did appreciate that. So it's something I definitely recommend to anyone to check out. It gives you a good backstory of Vivian Meyer and how her work came to life. And it's really about the hidden talent that isn't a wow in your face, like look at me, I'm so awesome. So it just shows that people can go out there and make awesome work without any recognition whatsoever. She did it purely because she loved to do it, and you know up until past the time that she died, no one even knew this work existed. So she captured the world the way that she saw it, even if no one else was going to see those photos. And she probably never planned on anyone finding those photos and displaying them for the world to see. It makes me kind of wonder what she thinks of that now. Um, but I guess we'll never know. So I'm glad my coworker mentioned it the other day, and I'm glad that this class kind of lined up with that conversation. So actually, after I watched it, I reached back out to him and we had a little conversation about it. Again, I don't want to go too in detail about the film itself because I don't want to spoil it. But we've all learned her backstory and watched it. But overall, the film I think is definitely worth the watch. So that's all I got.